Hello there, and welcome to the Rogue Podcast, a Star Wars show. Today we have myself, John McKeever, CJ Jones, and David Hilarious. But let's not waste time talking about us, because let's be honest, none of us matter. All that matters is the Book of Boba Fett, episode 6. Yeah, the Book of Boba Fett.
Book of who now?
Episode 6, From the Desert, A Stranger Comes. Oh my gosh, I cannot wait to get into discussing this little guy right here, Grogu. I can't wait to talk about all the amazing things that happened in this episode, potentially the greatest Star Wars we've seen in almost 20 years. Without any further ado, this is the Rogue Podcast. Let's start the show. All right, fellas.
We're doing we're gonna do something a little different today. Because this is such an amazing episode, I figured we'll do a little show and tell for those that check out our video podcast on the YouTube channel. If you don't and you'd like to, I'd highly recommend it. You can relive some of the best moments of this episode, which is pretty much the whole episode. But yeah, one of the best moments of Star Wars. This whole episode was insane. We saw so many people. I mean, let's just get started right off on the bat with open up with Cobb Vanth. Didn't think we'd see him again, but
nope.
I mean,
I did.
You
thought so?
CJ, you knew?
I said so.
Yeah, CJ said so last week.
Yeah. I don't know. When he said he was going to visit somebody, y'all said Grogu, which you were right. I thought it was going to be Cobb Vanth.
You were also right.
I was wrong, but he did eventually go there.
Yeah.
It's like when you get the right answer, but you use the wrong formula.
Exactly.
In math class.
Before we dive deep, can we just talk about some general things a little bit?
Like what?
Sure.
Just some thematic stuff, I suppose. So everyone, if you've seen this and or if you're watching this or listening and you have not seen the episode yet, turn it on. Okay.
Turn it on.
Yeah.
Turn us off. And
turn us. Yes. But one of the things CJ had brought up, which I thought was a very valid point, how is he going to go off on this mission or go see Grogu and then come back for just one more episode of the show? So did you feel, CJ, that concern is still something that you didn't like the way it was done, or do you feel like they did this pretty well?
I honestly
the same thing, yeah.
Feel like this episode highlighted how bad the show is. Because this episode is very good, and all of the goodness has absolutely nothing to do with the plot of the original 3 episodes and like with Boba Fett in general until the very, very end, which is part of that is good too, but that's not even, doesn't show him.
Right.
I thought this was good, but again, this was like a kind of a season 3 Mandalorian episode more so than a really good episode of the Book of Boba Fett. And whenever we were talking about what I thought they needed to do to like fix the show, I never thought that they would just drop the show halfway through and make it about the Mandalorian, I'll be honest.
So from the perspective of Book of Boba Fett, you are not satisfied, is what you're saying.
I think they did what they could to make good individual episodes, but from like the entire arc of the show, maybe it's just changed the name, but like why wasn't this just the season? And then you could have had Boba Fett in the background or cut in pieces of this with the old episodes.
Keep Boba Fett mysterious, honestly.
I mean, this episode is far more expensive than any of the Book of Boba Fett episodes. Is a big part of it.
It's gotta be.
One way that I saw on Reddit that I thought, or not on Reddit, on Rotten Tomatoes, as we look at the score again, 100% so far with 12 critics, average score of 8.8. This comment came from a guy named Dylan Roth. I have no idea who he is, but I really liked it because it really summed up how I felt about this episode as well. He says, none of the charm of chapter 6 From the Desert Comes a Stranger is original to the Book of Boba Fett, like you just said, CJ. But if you think of this show as just another vessel under a big tap marked Star Wars, then you'll get more than you could ever ask for. So when I look at it this way and I say, I want to go watch some Star Wars, this is just awesome. It's great. Yeah. And when you think of this show as just Star Wars, if they just said Star Wars TV show is the name of the title, then I love this show. This show is fantastic. It tells me more about Star Wars, and it's brought some amazing things. But like you said, when you say the Book of Boba Fett,
yep,
you get an idea that you're going to see Boba Fett and that you're going to see Boba Fett at his best and see him really become this awesome character we've always wanted. So that is literally the only negative I can bring to this episode.
We speculated last week about what could be going on behind the scenes of what we've heard. And as fans, how much do you think we deserve to know about why? 'Cause I don't think this was anyone's preferred, any producers, whatever, writers' preferred decision to have Mandalorian take up 2 full episodes of Book of Boba Fett.
I think they definitely did their best with what they had, kind of thing. You know, they knew that they were in a tough pickle with the casting of Din Djarin, with the issues that were going on. I mean, this show was not like announced like a lot of other things are well in advance. We heard about this show 11 months before it came out. And I would not be surprised if a vast majority of the production took place in those 11 months. I mean, like the Obi-Wan show, the Cassian Andor show, they've both been in production for 2 years, maybe a little more.
Yeah.
You know, and this show definitely was not what was done. But enough of that. Let's get into
we can nitpick in another episode.
Let's go.
Oh man. So Cobb Vanth, like we said, I didn't expect to see him. CJ, you know, he was ahead of all of us. He's fighting off the Pikes, which is kind of showing how far they're really reaching out. I mean, he doesn't even care about the spice. Cobb doesn't.
Yeah, I originally thought that the Pikes were here to like try to sell some spice to these villagers, but I don't think that's really what was happening as I watched a second time, because you can hear them actually saying, we'll load the spice, drop the money, here's all the money. So they must have just gotten paid for a sale or something, because in that Kimtono they had a bunch of money in it. So either they just got paid for a sale or they got paid for something, but I think they're just transporting it either like Mos Espa or something like that, or Mos Eisley, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then even Cobb, he's become the official marshal. Let's see, is his you can see his fancy belt buckle. I thought that's kind of cool.
Rachel was like, is that like his sheriff badge? I was like,
no,
yeah,
absolutely.
I think it is. Yeah.
Star Wars.
It works for me.
And even I feel like I'm kind of surprised he didn't get the Jawas to find some sort of makeshift helmet. I think that would have been cool. But then he's got to take off his helmet so we can actually, see who he is.
I would have liked even a hat would be cool.
Or a vest.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Cat Bango's nice hat. Oh, I'd have been sick.
Oh man. I mean, we can, and then pretty much immediately we get the title screen and move straight into Mando. Go into, do we even know what? There's a lot of
speculation
where this is.
So most people that I have seen comment on this believe it to be the forest moon of Endor. Actually, David.
No.
What did you say, David? You said
Yavin 4.
It has like the
now that you think about it,
the topography is very similar.
It's just like it.
Yeah, it could be either, or it could be a totally unknown planet. Who knows?
I'm gonna look it up right now.
It's not been named officially.
I'm gonna check.
And we'll see it later. But is this the place where we see Kylo destroy? And
100%. It's the same building.
That's that hut. Yeah.
And Ahsoka even says that he's building his Jedi temple. And when I compared side by side the picture of Luke standing there with R2 watching the buildings burn is the same. It looks like the destruction that was done to that building by Kylo and his guys took it back to the point where they were building in that first scene. So it's like exact same level.
Filoni can
it rhymes.
Can rhyme with the sequels even. That's magic.
Yeah,
that's real magic.
Cool ship. I love seeing shot. I love seeing this ship, man. I was hesitant, but
sweet.
It's pretty sick.
And even I love the shot of panning down of immediately you see this R2 spinning radar right away.
Oh yeah,
R2D2. You already know what's coming, dude.
I mean, it was just this whole episode, constant chills.
Yep, it's like Star Wars.
And even this planet, I thought it was so cool with the bamboo. They're definitely giving off huge Japanese samurai vibes.
That's not Endor. Bamboo.
I mean, dude, are you for real? Think about all the different biospheres we have in Earth. Bimbo. We have deserts. We have
one biosphere.
And Endor is actually in California. I don't know if you know this. Endor.
Is it? Oh yeah, it's Redwood.
Redwood.
Yeah. No, but that's the thing about Star Wars is planets have a single
Just one.
biosphere.
That's
Just
not all
one.
planets. What's it's called?
Name one.
I am about to. Alderaan.
Naboo.
It's
Name a second one.
Naboo.
Name a
Alderaan.
third.
Okay, what are the biomes in Naboo? What are the biomes?
Yeah, what's
Huh?
the biome?
They have. It's not just like that all the time. We just saw them.
They
in their
have the
summer sphere
swampy
in one city.
area. They have like
swamps.
a kind of like
Oceans.
plainy area, some like hilly areas.
Semantics.
It's more or
No,
less the
a
same.
planet can only have one environment.
In Star Wars, yes.
I mean, isn't that what happened when what's his name came to Earth? Han Solo and Chewie came to Earth.
Yeah, and Han
They were
Solo
so
got
surprised.
stepped on.
They were so
What
surprised
in
that
the
it
world
was.
are you talking about?
Oh
You never
man,
seen that?
No.
Indiana Jones meets Chewbacca, and Chewbacca like cannibalized Han Solo or something. I don't remember.
What? What?
Chewbacca gets stuck on Earth and becomes.
What is this?
You have some research to do, my man.
Is this
can't-
like
I've
some
never seen
fan
this
fiction
anywhere.
or something?
No, it's an official comic.
Oh, is it
Yeah.
actually?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, wow.
I could be wrong
Interesting.
on the cannibalizing part.
I think you're wrong on the cannibalizing. I think Han Solo dies.
He died somehow.
First
And,
off,
like-
it wouldn't be cannibalism because he's not a Wookiee, so
Fair.
it would just be hunting.
I mean, kind of is.
But
Jason.
then I think Chewbacca becomes Bigfoot is what happens.
Oh,
Yeah. Yep.
that's
Then Indiana
awesome.
Jones like does something with him or something.
Anyways, a little
know.
off topic. A little off
Mhm.
topic. Yeah. So this is the scene you're referring to where, I mean, I can kind of see it. R2 more or less sitting in the same spot he would have been sitting in that scene,
That
that
scene, yeah.
flashback.
Yep.
And how about these cool robots?
You know
At
what
first-
these
I was real
robots have in,
confused by them at first.
you know what
And
these robots have in common with General Grievous?
all the
Spin-
arms slash legs.
They're both ant droids.
Yeah.
Get it? Androids.
But they're not androids. That in theory's
They're-
breakdown, he
they're
kept calling them androids.
Ant droids.
Oh, is that
Ant-
what he said?
Ant droids.
Enunciation.
That's the joke.
Yeah.
Ant
Yes.
droids. Androids.
I got you.
thought
Thank
they
you.
were-
I thought I heard androids. I'm like, they don't look like humans.
Yeah,
They're not androids.
But it was kind of cool to see how
Gotta
they were building this like
enunciate.
ant hill. I thought that was a cool little idea. At
Yeah,
first, I
I
thought
think
it was when that first rock started lifting behind Mando. I thought it
I
was.
thought it was
like,
the Force. I thought
Yeah,
it
me
was
too.
Grogu and Luke.
I think
training
they
in
were
the
doing that on
background.
purpose.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
cinematography.
I can see it.
I thought those things were Bomar monks at first.
Oh, but they didn't have the little brain inside of it.
Yep.
Also,
Yeah.
wasn't it awesome when he's like, "Is that a bench?" Cracked me up. I was like, "What?"
Bench confirmed. What am I doing here?
Not sure.
Oh, and then immediately,
Beautiful. No, Ahsoka doesn't
Immediately-
show up for a while yet.
Oh.
because it flashes away to show you Luke and Grogu training. Like, how amazing did Shamuk? We can only assume this is Shamuk.
Yes,
Shamuk's
it is.
work.
So
Did they is he
yes, it is
credited in the
confirmed.
credits?
At least
Dude,
they were
that's
talking
lit.
about it for all the YouTubers that I had watched that said that he was hired. So Shamuk is a YouTuber who, after Luke they did the deep fake on Luke in Mandalorian season 2, he created his own deep fake of Luke and said, "Look, I can do better." And then Lucasfilm hired him, and this product that we have for Luke Skywalker right now. I mean, I had always said after that we couldn't have a full show of Luke if that's what it looks like, because while it was cool to see him, it just didn't look right. This was convincing. I was like,
Yeah.
this is Mark Hamill. This is Mark Hamill 5 years after Return of the Jedi.
Yep.
Like, just even the one thing I noticed, his nose is crooked.
Yeah, I mean, he's got
And
the
they got
scar on
his
his
crooked
lip.
nose. Yeah, his lip. He has like some, the dimple
Yep.
right here
And on his
on his
chin.
face.
I mean, it's near perfection. There are some scenes you can see some computer tech in it here and there if you look really closely. But it's if you're looking for it. It's not like it was in season 2 where you're like, yeah, that ain't a human face. You know what I mean? This was like, this is a human face, except for once in a while I can see it. And they did a pretty good job with like keeping the angles a certain way so that you weren't seeing full frontal face like the whole time while he was talking and things. Like some scenes where like when he was moving around and fighting with the lightsaber later on,
Yeah,
he
and we have a
goes in and out
screenshot, yeah.
behind the trees and stuff. They
Did
did a
the
good
same
job.
with Grogu.
What's
It-
that?
Did the same thing with Grogu.
Yeah.
The biggest thing is, and with watching, various YouTube channels like Corridor Crew, where they break down, and I guarantee you they're going to break down this
Mhm.
shot, and I'm so looking forward to their thoughts. And I can only imagine they're going to give him high praise. Is he's not taken out of the environment
Where like you can
Our-
see he's in front of it.
Yeah, our eyes know what a face in this lighting is supposed to look like. We can clearly see the lights over here
Mhm.
shining this way.
Mhm.
We can tell it by the trees, by the leaves in the
Mhm.
background. All the light is hitting this side of his face, and this side is perfectly shadowed.
Mhm.
Even like you can see his nose shadow, even his eyelids, his eyebrows. Whereas
Just
they couldn't
convincing.
do that in last season. Partially, like the time crunch and the secrecy, like just all that perfection of seeing, not being able to tell it's not a real face, and also just with the lighting and everything, but the emotion.
Mhm.
He was able to emote. I would say that was one of the downfalls, was not perfect emotion. There's
Yeah.
some times where, not your people's eyes won't always look directly ahead of you. They'll scatter around sometimes.
There
you know,
definitely were some scenes here and there that were semi-robotic.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
when he was talking, for instance, you could tell it was a pre-recorded voice it wasn't like it was out of sync, but like when you're watching a cartoon, that's not how people actually talk. They're reading a script and they're trying to say it like the character would say it. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
you can tell that someone pre-recorded these lines as well, and that it wasn't actually him saying it as he stood there. But for the most part, it was really good. And I do think that was one of the small issues with the tech. But one thing that I heard you talking about, John, that I absolutely loved about this whole entire process was that, and what I love about Star Wars is whenever Star Wars is good, even when it's not, I should say, the technology of cinematography is pushed forward. The original trilogy blew sci-fi to the next level. The prequels took blue screen and green screen and turned it into a common practice.
Jar Jar Binks was the first. People credit Gollum as being the first. He was the first completely replaced.
Mhm.
There was no physical Gollum.
Right.
There, of course, was a physical Jar Jar, but technically,
It was
Jar
just
Jar
a
was the
mask
first
on top of the head.
CGI character, because
Right.
they spent 100, 140, 150 grand on the suit that
And
they
then
thought they were going
use
to
it.
use, and then they replaced him.
With
But part of
CGI.
the reason why the CGI could look as good, obviously, if you go back and watch it, you can pick it apart. But part of the reason it could look so good is because they had the reference of the suit.
Of
Like
the
I mentioned,
suit.
the lighting we see here.
Mhm. You
If
can
they
see
had to
what that lighting
completely
would look like on the
recreate
face.
this lighting from scratch with no reference, the artist is just guessing, and then your eye can just pick it apart and
Yep.
tell that the lighting isn't quite right.
But yeah, I mean, we could talk
The
about
volume
how,
in Mando.
yeah, that
Yeah.
was another amazing, having a
Huge.
dome that you film in, so you don't have to have green screen and blue screen, and the actors can actually act in the environment they're supposed to be in. Love it.
And then de-aging in Rogue One,
With Leia. Yeah.
and then
That was awesome.
de-aging here, of course, or with the deep fake. I don't know if there, I should know this, but I don't know if there's been deep fakes in a movie or
I don't think there has been in a
TV
movie
yet,
yet.
because
I don't know.
it's a huge thing on YouTube, of course.
Yeah.
What about Terminator, the newer ones?
That was completely
CGI.
but that one was really, really good. But there's still some things where it just has that slight smoothness to it,
Mhm.
Yeah.
where your eye knows.
Well, like Leia's face in Rogue One kind of thing, where you're
Yeah.
like, oh, so apparently she has no blemishes whatsoever. she is a superstar.
Whereas,
Yeah.
this is just,
Supermodel.
I know it's a still, so it looks really, really good. But regardless, and I was just looking at my screen. You can see the light on my face
Mhm.
pretty much perfectly matches the light on his face
Yeah.
with the shadows, and it's
Looks
insane.
good.
It's insane.
All right,
And
moving
kind
on.
of like Jake, what you were saying, some of his dialogue seemed a little stiff.
Choppy.
Yeah.
It
But,
was stiff, yeah.
Now, do we know? So I know for the original movie, or not the original movie, for the original showing of Luke in Mandalorian season 2, Mark Hamill came in and recorded lines, but they didn't actually use that audio for the recording. They used his previous audio clippings to create a synthesized voice for Luke. and said a computer said this is what Luke would sound like, and this is what so they kind of mixed the Mark Hamill's current voice with all these other things he had said. I wonder if they synthesized his voice again, or if they were using Mark Hamill's, because I felt that while this definitely didn't sound like Luke perfectly, I felt it still sounded a little better than The Mandalorian.
Sounded a lot better, yeah.
Yeah. So I wonder.
Yeah, it sounded much better. I think they just got better at it, and they had more time.
Yeah.
With the season finale,
the computer probably has learned his voice better over time as well.
They they didn't have as much time. They didn't have
experience,
and they had they had one guy working on the face, and I think they maybe the same guy or another guy working on the audio. So they had maybe 4 people max working on him, whereas here, they have Shimuk working tirelessly, having his, I'm sure they gave him a sweet rig to get this puppy cranked out. Same with the audio. And we didn't really know he was even going to be, speculation, but like they didn't have
I
to
knew
hide
as soon as they had the body double for Luke play that X-Wing pilot, you knew Luke was going to be in it. Why else would he be on set?
Mm-hmm.
At least that's how I figured about it. I was like, oh, okay, Luke's going to be in the show.
Yep.
Oh, this scene was great. Oh, I was just smiling
flipping
so big.
him along.
I think this is actually the scene that I started to tear up a little bit. Just because actually, no, it was when he was running and training with him on his back.
Yeah.
But when they were like, let's go for a walk, because they're talking about how size doesn't matter. And he's trying to get Grogu to buy into the Jedi way, which I really love that whole concept through this whole episode. He's taken on a new Padawan, a kid who's not really been a Jedi for 25 years, maybe a little longer, half of his life. So this isn't really a part of who he is anymore. And he's now having to say, remember your training, this is a commitment you have to make. And it was a really, really interesting plot line that I didn't really expect, but I feel like I should have, you know what I mean? But the way he was training Grogu and talking to him, not just, training him about just the Force and just about lightsaber combat or whatever, but about the ideology, about the commitment that it means to be a Jedi and the potential that he has and who he can become, was just a really interesting plot line. And this whole conversation as they're walking like father and son was just amazing as he just like picks him up with the Force because he's walking too slow. Oh, I loved it. It was hilarious.
He was talking about Yoda.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he was asking him, do you know other people like you? Do you know anyone that talks like this?
That question gets me more excited than most of what happens in this episode, because it's not a question that's ever been asked in Star Wars. We, the fans, have been asking it for years and years. Where does Yoda come from? What this race? What is this species? Is there a race of super Force sensitive people out there that could make a huge impact on the galaxy? We have no idea. Why has it been such a secret? Why does no one know who these people are? Because even in universe, at least in Legends, I should say, people will talk about not knowing who Yoda is or where he came from because no one's been alive long enough.
And have you all seen the interview? Well, it wasn't an interview. It was a pre-Revenge of the Sith tour that it was one of the theaters. They had like a Q&A with Hayden Christensen and George Lucas, and Hayden would ask George a fan question. George would ask Hayden a fan question, and Hayden asked George Lucas, like, where does Yoda come from? And George Lucas himself doesn't even know.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a you and like an Obi-Wan moment where Obi-Wan's from Stu John. No, he doesn't know on purpose. He did it because that's who Yoda's supposed to be. He's supposed to be this weird
wise
mythical creature that was there to take the place of Ben Kenobi to teach Luke.
And that's all that it was for George Lucas.
Yeah.
But now with someone else in command, I feel like we're going to get an answer. Because if Luke's asking this answer, it means that he wants the audience asking this answer. Or
do we want to know
well.
the end? I don't know if we ever want to know the answer to this question.
I mean, that is one of the great things about storytelling, is keeping suspense. I think you mentioned it last week, even when the couple and the main character in the show gets together, you lose interest in the show because that's what you've been waiting to see. That's what you've been waiting for. However, I don't think that Yoda's home planet is what drives Star Wars' anticipation forward.
Yeah.
So I think it would be really exciting to explore the origins of their species and to see, where does Grogu come from?
It is. I mean, it is one of the mysteries that has existed since the beginning, and I don't know if there's very many mysteries that have existed from the very beginning.
Yeah, that's true.
So I mean,
it is kind of sacred.
I think this is one of those things where Dave would go to George
and ask
permission, and/or do you sign off on this?
Yeah.
Like, I was just thinking the other day of something that the Cad Bane Boba duel.
Mm-hmm.
I believe George Lucas shot that down, if I remember correctly. Filoni in Clone Wars.
Well, they filmed it.
They had a previs for it.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't rendered. A pre-visualization to get an idea of what it could look like. And I believe George Lucas shot it down. So, and of course that was when he was still involved.
Yeah.
But I would feel like he would have to float that by George Lucas.
He ain't gonna live forever. Sadly.
Just like Yoda.
All right. This conversation, any other points? I mean, I think your next slide is still on these guys, right?
Well, that's the thing. We go straight from this, nice innocent little conversation. Oh, do you know who Yoda is? And then Luke immediately says,
"Hey, do you want to remember?
Do you remember anything from your past? Do you want to remember?" And immediately I think,
let me show you your worst memory of all time.
okay. Grogu's gonna close his eyes, and if you guys noticed, it's the same style of vision from episode 3 with Padme.
Yep.
And Anakin, when Anakin has the vision,
with the cloudy.
It's like the same vignette style. I just thought, Grogu's gonna close his eyes for a few seconds, and then
see his home planet.
He's gonna come back. Well, no, I didn't think we were gonna see anything. I thought it's gonna be one of those. Every moment in this episode can't be a show don't tell moment.
Mm-hmm.
They got to cut something. So Grogu's gonna close his eyes for a couple seconds, and then Luke's gonna read through the Force what happened and say, "Oh, you were part of Order 66. Oh, you did this.
Got him. Order 66, baby."
Like what?
It was so great to see the 501st again.
Syndraulic?
No, it's not him.
Yeah, it is.
No, we have several different ways Syndraulic is killed in canon, and he's shown on the hologram being killed by Anakin.
I would say that is the only concrete proof. When people reference the episode 3 video game, all right, there's an episode 3 video game where
Mace Windu and Anakin literally have like a standoff duel for 10 minutes.
But Revenge of the Sith, Anakin kills Syndraulic in the hologram.
Also, in the novelization, I think he also kills Syndraulic.
Mm-hmm. It's just another old Jedi.
But I mean, like, his hair is the exact same. And I think his lightsaber is pretty darn close.
It could be his Padawan. Plus, Syndraulic has white hair. That's tan or blonde.
I'm pretty sure he's holding the lightsaber the same way, too.
Oh, you're right. No Jedi has the same fighting style.
He doesn't. Syndraulic does not have white hair. You can Google pictures of Syndraulic. But that was just the video game. Is that blonde? That's blonde. Yeah. And it's like the same ponytail style as well, which is what kind of made me think that.
I mean, it could be him.
It would be.
It doesn't matter. Either way, they both dead.
All three of them. We do get a view of one of their lightsabers clear up, and I couldn't find any. They focus on it too much for it to be like, oh, this is some random lightsaber.
I don't think so. I think it's just supposed to be a lasting image in Grogu's mind of him seeing.
True. He saw the lightsaber falling.
The one that the lightsaber that fell, the hand kind of looked like either Luminara or like Barriss Offee. But I know they wouldn't be there.
It wouldn't be Barriss, no.
Well, we actually see Luminara die in Revenge of the Sith, don't we? Killed by her troops.
No, that's Ayla.
No, Ayla Secura does.
Yeah. Luminara was on Kashyyyk though.
No,
for a little bit.
Luminara is killed in
Rebels.
Rebels.
Well, we see her ghost,
her dead body. Remember,
but she didn't die then. Yeah.
But didn't they say that the Inquisitors hunted her down and killed her?
Yeah, and it was like 20 years ago or 10 years ago.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she escaped the purge, and then the Inquisitors hunt down Luminara, and then they used her body as bait for other Jedi.
Yep.
Yes.
Man, such a cool flashback.
What a great scene. That's going to be my new desktop background.
That's a cool one.
when they
A
render
little
it.
morbid.
Order 66 is one of the greatest moments in Star Wars. It's an awful moment, but one of the most emotional and pivotal moments that drive the story forward. So I'm fine dwelling on it.
One of the coolest.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Sorry, CJ. I'm a little dark like that.
Yeah.
Am I
was
still
awesome.
sharing my screen, by the way?
You are.
Okay.
But it's
'Cause
paused
I
on the
don't-
clones.
Okay, good. I just didn't get the menu pop up, so I want to make sure it was still sharing.
Not dark enough to like
So
the last
you
Jedi
think-
like CJ.
do you think Grogu has had like his memory wiped, or has he just forgotten
Suppressed.
or
I think he's-
shocked?
Well, yeah, I mean, a trauma response to PTSD is suppressing memories, so
Yeah,
that could
I
definitely be
agree.
part of it.
I mean, what if? So a theory I heard is that whoever saves him, this is what we could spend a lot of time talking about this. Whoever saves him could have said, "I don't want Grogu to remember something and keep it a secret," or they don't. Whoever protected him. So say he got captured by someone evil, they wipe his memory so that they can train him or something, right? Or say he was protected by someone good, wipes his memory so that he can't give details to someone should he be captured or to protect him. You know what I mean? So maybe he forgets he's a Jedi. That way, if someone were to find him, he's safe. I don't know. What do you guys think about those ideas?
Or he could be a clone.
A clone with original Grogu's memories?
Who didn't get the or who? Well,
Yeah.
Ooh. So Grogu is actually killed here.
no.
And the Grogu we know is a clone of Grogu.
No more clones.
That would be too deep.
Yeah.
That's too much.
It's too. If you throw around clones too much, a clone can become a weak
Plot
storyline.
device.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope it's not a clone. That would be the
I guess
least desirable.
the Dark Empire, the first comic, they resurrect the Emperor. Well, they just keep doing it over and over and over again. And it's more or less
Yeah.
the same plot line. And you're like, oh well, first one was good, second one not so much. Third
It
one
slowly slopes down, and then they use it in a certain movie.
yeah.
Yeah.
Then you have
I thought that was terrible.
Yeah. No, but so I guess these guys do look CG,
Yeah, they look CG.
Oh yeah, that's
They look
CG,
good.
100%. Clones have
which
always
is
been CG in
unfortunate.
Star Wars.
Yeah, that they've always they do not have a single on-camera clone that is actual physical armor.
which is a bummer because there's some.
Yeah.
great
Yeah.
ones.
It's so
Now there's lots of stormtroopers and stormtroopers have been real almost always. The only stormtroopers I believe that are not real people are the cardboard cutouts that you see when the Emperor arrives on the Death Star.
so those are actually paintings.
On
Really?
cardboard cutouts.
No. It's a matte painting.
When you go look at the overhead scene,
No, I know what I'm talking about.
It's a painting on a mat?
It's correct.
really?
Yep.
I thought, okay.
I think McQuarrie himself did that painting. But yeah, no, like the first 6 rows of people, either way, they're fake.
Yeah.
But the first 6 rows
Are real people.
are people, and then
in the
everything behind
background.
it,
Mhm.
which I mean, that was part of them pushing forward the VFX of their
Technology.
time.
Mhm.
Because
Interesting
on
stuff.
the Forest Moon of Endor, when you see the AT-AT walking in the background, that's a matte painting as well.
So I can't imagine this is the last Grogu flashback we see.
Nope.
So
Well,
I can't imagine. I mean,
It still
what-
hasn't shown
what
the missing
purpose?
pieces after.
Well,
this.
yes.
I think in the background there might be a certain fallen Jedi that could be walking by in another show.
Who? What are you thinking
Oh.
of?
A certain Skywalker.
You think
The
Anakin's
Anakin
back there?
variety.
Dude, he's somewhere in the temple right now, kicking booty.
Well,
and
sure, but what
slaying
would Anakin do with
younglings.
Grogu? You think
Kill him, capture him.
he would
steal
kill him? There was no reason unless he wanted to raise him as his
Yeah.
own Padawan.
he did not have problem killing younglings.
Why he's like, I want to keep this one. Maybe because
He's
it's
cute.
Yoda's race. I don't know,
I
but
mean, it could
Pops-
be a side
Pops,
quest.
can I
you
take
gotta
him home?
add it in later.
I think that it's more so the next flashback we see is going to be a Jedi coming in and killing these clones and getting away with Grogu.
No, it can't be Cal Kestis, but that would be.
It can't be Cal
sweet.
Kestis. Kanan, no, Kanan wasn't there.
He was just a child and
But
was already.
it could be anyone. It could be a new Jedi. You know,
It could be Cal.
and
well,
that Jedi could die because, like, we would say, the question always
It
arises.
can't be Cal. It can't be
Yeah, it
Cal.
can't be
Actually,
Cal.
No, Cal was on a ship.
he was on the escape pod.
The question that arises is, if a Jedi survives and we see him now in the Book of Boba Fett or whatever new show after this, why didn't they help with the
Death Stars.
everything? You know, which is a question you can even ask Yoda. 30 years, Yoda, you sat around for 30 years on a freaking jungle planet, but whatever.
Well, yeah, I mean, Yoda's the prime example then.
Yes.
Why didn't Yoda come back and help?
I think a lot of Jedi are honestly scared and just hiding, just to live their life out the way that it is. I mean, even Obi-Wan and even these Jedi can say, I'm too small to be able to do this on my own. I mean, you even see Cal Kestis, who tried to start up a new Jedi Order, eventually said, it's too dangerous. I'm just going to get kids killed. And he steps back, even in that video game, in the Fallen Order. So I think
the
Jedi
Force
might
will lead us.
I
Trust
think
only in the Force.
the Jedi that do survive through this, you can canonically explain it by saying they took on small world problems. What did Ahsoka do when she was in exile? She helped a planet against oppression while trying to stay hidden.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, she went on to bigger things and started the rebellion, etc. But I think there could be stories all over the galaxy of a Jedi saying, you know what? My purpose now is to these people. I'm this village. I'm going to protect this village, right? And that's how probably the Inquisitors heard of things like this happening and saying, oh, this Jedi is helping this outer rim planet over here. We heard stories of some person protecting these people. And that's how some of them got hunted down. But there could be any number of Jedi that were able to do that for 30 years and never get caught. So any Jedi could rescue him here. However, also, I think a Jedi could rescue him and sacrifice himself to get Grogu off planet or whatever may happen.
I could see that.
Yeah.
I think that would make the most sense.
I do think our next flashback will be Grogu getting rescued, though, is my guess.
I think so too.
Because those clones were coming right for him. They pointed at him and started running or walking towards Grogu.
And I think even in Kenobi show, we'll get an Order 66 flashback.
Oh, 100%.
No doubt.
There's no way the Kenobi show with Hayden Christensen
man.
and Ewan McGregor pretty much looking the same as they did during that time.
And they can even Shamook him a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think they need to. Makeup should be able to do the trick.
We may get something as simple as Anakin walking by a room and we see 2 green lightsabers and a blue lightsaber fighting off some clones.
Mm-hmm.
I would think something as simple as that would be easy enough to like connect the dots. I don't think in that show we need a full explanation.
No, I don't think so.
I'd say Mando.
I want to focus it on those 2 guys for me. What I've loved about this show so far is what it's done for the story of Star Wars. While it hasn't done great things for Boba Fett himself, the story of Star Wars has progressed so much in these last few episodes by just creating this universe between now and the sequel trilogy that I am so excited to see what happens, which is honestly crazy because we know how it ends. We know what happens and we don't like that ending, but still the story that happens in between is really great. And I think there's enough time in there that everything that could happen with Thrawn, there could be several wars that go on. I think it can be a really interesting time. So I'm really excited about what's being set up for the future.
While I don't think the Snoke will ever make some of the things of the sequel trilogy will never make sense to me.
Yep.
Snoke, somehow Palpatine returned, things like that. But I think with enough time and TV shows and explanation, we might get to the point where we can understand why Luke exiled himself.
Yeah, we won't like it.
That's what I thought.
Yes. And you look at the prequels. Now, the 4 of us, we're prequel babies. We all love the prequels. But a lot of originals. Whoops, what did I just do?
I don't know.
A lot of original Star Wars fans who grew up watching Star Wars did not like the prequels for years and years. A lot of 40-year-old guys, 45, 50-year-old guys did not like it. Mm-hmm. But as time has gone on and the universe was built around those prequels, they became to accept those stories as part of the story and as a part of the universe. And then it's enriched with more story and more story. And the story becomes better. The Clone Wars fleshed out so many of the characters. The complaints we had about Anakin, it made no sense how he became kid on Tatooine, Jedi Padawan, Sith Lord. in 3 movies, I would argue the progression was not done insanely well. However, when you put the Clone Wars in there and these books and you learn to know that character so much more, now we see, okay, the points we've seen of Anakin are the highlights of his life, right? And the tipping points. But all these things that have happened throughout his life have pushed him more and more that way. So it's not just the Tuscans and just his wife dying that pushed him to the dark side, but all these other things that happened as well. And it makes those movies so much better. So while I don't have as much hope for that with the sequel trilogy, I still think that we will be able to eventually come to appreciate those movies a little bit more, because some things can be fixed to an extent. You know what I mean? Especially if they build this next period really well.
Yep.
Yeah, and thankfully there's 30 years of time to fill in, because that's a long time.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of wars.
I mean, I think about all that can be told about Kylo Ren. Kylo Ren himself has an amazing story to be told, from the point of him being taken in by Luke, his issues with his parents, his time serving as a Jedi Padawan with Luke. I would watch a show of him and it doesn't have to be what's his name, the actor for Kylo,
Adam Driver.
It doesn't have to be Adam Driver. It can be some teenage kid who trains with
from
Luke.
Stranger Things.
Yeah, no, thank you. But it can be some kid who trains with him and is a Padawan with Luke, and the Jedi Order is being started. Think about all the missions they could go on, how they could save the galaxy in many ways. That would be an amazing story to be told.
Jakku.
Mm-hmm. So a lot of things.
Battle
a
of
lot
Jakku.
of things. We got to move on.
Yeah. So after this flashback, he goes. If you remember, he basically tells Grogu, "You were helpless in the situation. I'll teach you how to protect yourself and to protect others." And then,
except he didn't say to protect others. That's exactly what I thought he should have said. I was like, and he should have said to protect others, but he just says protect yourself. Which,
or be like, I was expecting like be at balance with the Force or something like that.
I mean, he eventually gets there, but it makes sense. Grogu was in insane fear because of what he had just seen, and he's been helpless so much of his life, especially now that he had lost his connection with the Force before he came with the Mandalorian, or more or less, he didn't really know how to use it. He's just been helpless and been relying on other people. Excuse me. So it makes sense that Luke would say, "Hey, I'm going to teach you how to protect yourself. You don't have to be afraid." So that I get that, but I would have loved for him to say, "and to protect others."
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And then we immediately go back to Mando sitting on his little robot bench,
taking a cat nap with his helmet on.
And then I love the quick draw, aiming perfectly at Ahsoka. I didn't expect this. I don't know did you guys expect
it? I did not think Ahsoka would be coming.
I thought we would see her this season, but I didn't think we'd see her this soon.
I thought there'd be a chance that she would come and help Boba. Maybe not to help Boba, but maybe be there just because she saw injustice being done, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I thought there was a chance, but I thought it was a slim chance. So I don't think she will help in the next episode. I don't think we see her again. I think because she left Luke. He says, am I going to see you again? She says, perhaps. Yep. So the way that conversation ended, I don't expect us to see them together again until probably the Ahsoka show, if we even do then. But I don't think we'll see her again. But this was a very welcome interaction.
And she brings up some really good points to get Mando thinking, like, okay, beyond the first round of effects, like, all right, you want to make this decision. What is that decision going to cause? And how's this trickle effect going to change the world? And like you said, Jake, is this for you or is this for Grogu, or why are you really doing this kind of thing? And brings up attachments. And
what I loved about Ahsoka's scenes in this episode, we had a whole episode with Ahsoka, and I had trouble seeing her as Ahsoka Tano. I mean, not just because of the way she looks, but just mannerisms, the way she talked, how she acted. You could tell they were trying to say, be the Ahsoka from the Clone Wars. But I feel like she has had some time to practice this and to take this character on better, because to me, this was a much more convincing performance. Even some of her mannerisms, the way she tilted her head, the way she held up her hands at times, I was like, this looks a lot more like Ahsoka, and it feels a lot more like her. Yeah. Her discussion, the way she talked, the wisdom that she showed beyond her years. I mean, I know she's like 50 now, but
Not too old for Luke.
The way she was compassionate and the way she was trying to not only help Grogu, but understand where Din Djarin was coming from as well. That was very much in the Ahsoka character, not just the Jedi character. So I loved seeing that from her. It was one of my highlights of the show. Oh, what a great scene this was.
Is this not the best?
I don't know.
I can't ever like.
I can't even say why it's so great. I mean, besides the 4 characters it has, but it just was like an overwhelming amount of emotion when I saw this.
Like you see
so much good Star Wars.
Luke in the background sitting with Grogu talking through, whatnot. And then Mando does, of course, he ends up not even going up to Grogu.
Pain. I think Rachel was crying when she saw this.
I think that was a good choice. I think this episode would have been ruined if he had seen Grogu in person.
Agreed. Yep. Yeah, the emotional turmoil. A comment I read was Star Wars does its finest, or is at its finest when it pulls at your heartstrings and makes you wanting more. And this episode was tugging at my heart the whole time. You just are emotionally involved, which is something with the first 4 episodes of the show. I didn't have a single emotion the whole time except for anger when I saw that stupid Vespa gang.
And I mean, every episode can't be that.
No,
because you have to build these characters. Like we've had 2 seasons with Mando, 2 seasons with Grogu, 7 seasons with Ahsoka Tano. So we know 40 years with Luke. And then it all culminates for those 4 characters intersect in this one episode, in this one scene, this one moment. And it's like, there's so much in this picture.
I love Dave Filoni. Things I would do for that guy.
Firstborn. He can have my firstborn if we get more good stuff.
Name my son Dave, and not for you, David.
Dave, stay together. Good job.
Oh my goodness.
All right, we gotta keep it clipping, but man.
Do we though? I think we can enjoy. I mean, the next couple ones are mainly the training. That was mentioned earlier.
The training sequence, the flashback to Yoda.
Yeah, all bad.
Poetry.
Star Wars.
The circle is now complete.
It was great.
You always with the Lana.
It was great. I mean, what more can we say than it was just amazing to see Luke in his element. When we left him, he was but the learner, and now he's the master, and just to see him training Grogu and the conversation, the reason he's doing this is to show Grogu not only what you can become, but how you can achieve balance as he goes through the dialogue of, what the Force can and should be used for. It was just beautiful.
And he uses some of his dialogue, or what he would eventually tell Rey in episode 7, which he got from Yoda in episode 5. So ultimately it came from Yoda up here when he climbs the bamboo shoots and says, like, feel the, I can't remember specifically, but basically feel the energy, feel the Force flowing through you, and
feel the balance. Oof. Oh, the flip. Did you guys freak out when you saw the flip?
Yeah.
Oh, exactly the same move
with Grogu on his back.
Oh, it was awesome. I loved it.
Oh man. And then Grogu starts training. He does his 1 foot balances while Luke practices his lightsaber forms.
It was really cool to see how Grogu was struggling so much with the connection to the Force. And then after their training sequence, you see the impact it has on Grogu and how he's gained some confidence and he's gained a connection to the Force. It was awesome to see. It was awesome.
Yeah. We got one instance where I think the what's it called is starting to slip a little bit, but I mean, he was moving fast. The deep fake. He still is like, it kind of looks like a mix between Luke and Han Solo.
Yeah. Han Solo. I don't see Han Solo.
Really? You don't see it? I kind of see it a little bit. Maybe just generic dude.
Just face.
But no, seeing him do his forms and Grogu watching him with the lightsaber flashing in his eyes was like,
okay,
this is Star Wars.
Do you guys with the lightsabers, are they still off to you a little bit?
Yes.
Too green.
When I watch this, like, this looks good.
Yeah.
The white, but I think they're getting too hung up on the fact that a true lightsaber would not have white at all. If you saw a lightsaber in person, theoretically, it would be all green. The only reason it's white is because the camera overexposes the middle part of it to be white.
Uh-huh.
So I think they're kind of taking that too much to heart. I noticed when I played through Jedi Fallen Order, the lightsabers were too blue or green, and there wasn't enough of, for me, there wasn't enough of that white.
I feel like there's not enough white for this. Or is the white running into, is there not enough contrast between the white and the green?
Maybe there's not enough contrast.
I think that might be it, actually. I think it fades too much.
Well, it's blended pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
it's not like it's too
first time. Yeah,
it's not like it's too fat, is it?
No, I don't think it's too fat.
Yeah, I would like to see if they can figure that out.
I think it's actually a mix of all that summarized in the green, the white to green is David, maybe you said it's faded from white to green instead of a harsh white line.
Yeah, I think it should be a line.
It's like blended.
Yeah, blended. That's what you said.
Yeah.
Instead of the harsh white line, which is what we've seen, Phantom Menace, all the prequels.
I think maybe the white is too thick as I back away a little bit. It's pretty, if you back away, that white is pretty thick.
Let's go back to that looks, wow, I didn't realize how thin his the middle guy's lightsaber
I think the middle one looks the best out of all of those.
It's super thin. It's Rebels thin though, dude.
Yeah, it's pretty thin.
Like the blue one looks pretty solid. Yeah, the blue one looks good. The green one on the right looks too thick. But the thing is they probably did the same thing for all three of them. I don't really know what. This whole scene is CG, I think.
No, those people are definitely real. The Jedi are definitely real. 100%.
Okay. All right.
100%.
Oh, great. This is great, dude. I was like, no, don't shoot Grogu. He doesn't know what's coming.
And then he goes, poof.
Yeah, that was great.
Huh?
That was great,
What's going to happen?
So did that shot hit him?
I mean, it pretty much hit.
Out of the way.
I think so.
Yeah,
it hit like right there. And then he does like the flip backwards.
Oh, man. The little cuteness of Grogu will never, ever go away. I hope he doesn't start talking. That's one thing. Is he going to start talking eventually?
I hope so.
I kind of hope so, but it's going to freak me out, man.
What's he going to sound like?
I don't know. Like they had to have that conversation all the time, trying to figure out what this kid.
That's why they haven't done it yet.
I know.
They don't know.
Like
guaranteed.
Dude, does he sound like a toddler? Does he sound like a little kid?
Did he talk backwards?
Yeah. I
did not talk backwards.
I don't know.
I mean, honestly though, dude, because he's had his memory wiped, he could just not talk ever.
Well, I mean, he'd pick up language eventually from people talking to him.
But just because you can understand language doesn't mean you can speak language.
So he doesn't know how to use his mouth. So he's just
potentially
he's like mute.
I mean, I believe there's instances of humans at least where
that happens. You're right. It does.
Your speech doesn't
develop. You have that part of your brain's not developed.
And for his case, it would be a traumatic experience. Basically caused him to go mute.
I honestly wouldn't hate that.
And then honestly, only Jedi could really talk to him through the Force.
Yeah. Interesting. All right, moving on.
I mean, it's the easiest solution to not make people angry because
you're gonna upset someone about that.
90% of normies are watching this for Baby Yoda, and if he sounds like
a teenage kid,
I was like,
I don't care about you, Dad. You're not my dad. My dad, you're not.
Groot. Maybe he'll have a. I am Grogu. I am Grogu.
Yeah, we'll see.
Dude, seeing them in the same frame.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh my goodness.
I honestly would have liked a little bit more. I think I would have liked to have seen Ahsoka meet Luke for the first time.
I think we're gonna see that in the Ahsoka show. We're gonna see that in the Ahsoka.
A conversation with them about like
the past,
like him asking about, oh, you knew my dad? Yeah, I knew him better than anyone.
See, I was telling my brother this. I think the only person that is looking forward to seeing that scene more than anyone is Dave Filoni, because I would bet my whole life savings on the fact that he has thought of what that interaction is going to look like, and planned it out and written out that scene.
And he didn't want to put it here.
And
yeah, it's fair.
It doesn't fit in the Boba Fett.
I just don't know how you can put it in somewhere besides here.
I mean, like,
because now that they've met, or now that we've seen them, would it make sense for us to see them meet? Why would we see them meet?
I think Ahsoka. Now that we're talking through this, the Ahsoka show is not going to subsequently follow this timeline.
Oh, I think it is.
Ahsoka
They're
show.
gonna be looking for Ezra Bridger.
No, but Ahsoka show can start before she fights the lady in Mando season 2.
It could start and carry over.
Yeah, it could start before
overlap.
that. Go to that. We know what happens there. Go to the next thing. Talks to
Suppose it
Luke.
could kind of have a staggered
They might
start.
just do the same thing they did with this show, where they have the flashbacks woven in with the real time that's happening after this.
I don't think that was a very good model.
But that doesn't mean that they're not going to do it again.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know how else you would do it.
And then that's why I think we can't see that scene in a flashback. That's too important of a scene.
I mean, it won't matter if it's a flashback or not.
But doesn't it? Like in my mind, a flashback is not prime timeline. It's
like it's not canon.
the porting time. No, it is canon, but it's not prime timeline. It's
like the other thing that also happened.
Yeah, it just doesn't
Yeah,
feel
So, like to you, the main story of the Book of Boba Fett is what's happening on with him taking over, not the stuff that happened with the Tuskens. To me, the main story of the Book of Boba Fett was the Tusken stuff.
I agree. I think here's what I'm thinking. Boba Fett, current day is for him. Current day, what am I going to do against the Pikes? The
I agree.
flashback
For the first,
is history that's already happened. That's set in stone.
Yeah.
Regardless, and it is a mental thing for me. I'll admit it.
So when you were watching the flashbacks, did you feel like they were any less important than the other stuff?
Yes and no. I think it's just that how I mentally think of flashbacks, where it's history. It's written in stone. You can't change it. The current character has already experienced it. That flashback is not going to change how they are today, which ironically, it kind of did affect Boba Fett. Mm-hmm. Well, no, yes and no, because
he was already like that at the beginning of the show.
Yeah, the Bacta was really what was healing him, not the flashback. The flashback was healing our lack of knowledge. But I don't know. I don't know if you guys can empathize with that at all, but I guess I
get what you're saying. Yeah.
Like I want
you want it to be the story,
the current moment.
Yes.
I want that to be the current moment, not a memory.
Okay. I guess I get the reason. I wouldn't mind if it was a memory, but I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
It was awesome seeing him jump around. That's fun.
It seemed kind of, I mean, like reminiscent of Yoda.
Yeah. Now, do you guys think they're going to eventually move this to a CG model? Because as he progresses and trains and things, can we really see a puppet fighting and stuff and doing all this?
No, it has to be something better.
I was even surprised how puppet-like the flipping thing looked.
Yeah, it looked like they tossed it across the room.
but it still looked good.
Punted it.
It did look pretty decent. Yeah. But like the way he walks still looks like you've got a guy with sticks moving his feet, you know?
Well, I mean, it looks like he's waddling. Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
Penguin.
Is he ever going to learn how to walk properly or just be a proper 50-year-old?
Just my back.
I don't know. Yeah.
But yeah, I think eventually
there's gotta be a time jump somewhere.
They're going to lose the cuteness factor. But like, how long can he stay this young? You know, I mean, I know
forever young.
I know he's a little guy, but
forever young.
One thing I heard theory say is, does Grogu become the focal point of Star Wars eventually? Because we know he's going to live for another 800 something years. So does he eventually grow to become, you know, the new Yoda?
Yeah. Like what's his development stage?
Yeah. What's their end goal for him? I don't know.
He's
I guess we'll talk about that a little bit more as we get into the end.
How dare you?
His final decision. Let's save Grogu talk for the end.
Yeah. This one was even, dude.
So nice.
You know what I want to do? I want to draw a big heart around them. Dude, when Ahsoka walked away, he did the roller coaster. If you know what I mean. You know what the roller coaster is, guys?
No.
When a girl walks away and your eyes do this.
Oh,
ooh.
You know, this is probably the first female he's had any attraction towards since he kissed his sister.
That's a traumatizing event.
He doesn't really know how to handle himself.
For a while too.
Also, she's probably about like 18 years older than him too. So
she was a teenager when his dad was his age.
Hey, you know, weird.
She has that power dynamic.
Yeah. All right. Moving on.
No, but like, look how good his face looks.
It
dude.
does. That's probably the best scene from the whole show, as
Yep.
far as the look
So
of
good.
Luke goes. That's Mark
Mhm.
Hamill. You can't tell me
And
otherwise.
then this is the scene where Ahsoka says,
You're so much like your father.
"You're so much like your father."
Yeah.
Like,
I would have loved to have seen a little bit more in there of them talking about his father, though.
That's
The
what I was
only-
thinking.
But honestly, at this point, he could have talked to his dad as a Force ghost. He might have a perfectly great relationship with him now.
they play catch
Yeah.
out
Well,
back.
he throws the
Ghost
ball
catch.
at him. Well, actually, they
Virtual
can
catch.
they can catch things
Yeah.
now. I forgot. Ghosts can catch. That's weird.
Sounds
Yeah.
like Mario.
I mean, I think Filoni is saving this for the Ahsoka show,
Yep. He's
and
I'm
got
fine
it.
with that.
we'll get many more interactions,
We still have a lot to get
Stories.
onto. We're an hour in. We got a lot to get onto.
dude.
I know. I mean,
And-
I'm
and
fine. You're the one that said you have work
What
tomorrow.
time is it? It's 11:13. No, we're good. We're good.
Okay. All right. It's only 10:13 for me.
Lucky you.
All right. So then we got to this crappy scene that no one cares about with that dumb story.
The biggest thing is that Mando does the boba nod.
Yeah.
guys
Honestly,
get
Yeah.
This was fine. The scene. It
Yeah,
was
I
good.
liked
I was glad to be brought back into the story of the main show for a few minutes. Because
for a
I
few
forgot
minutes,
I forgot
emphasis
what we
on-
were watching.
Side quest, main story.
But
Boba's
no,
the
I
side
mean,
become a
quest
side
becomes
character
the
in his
main
own show.
this episode did do a better job of connecting it to the Book of Boba Fett story than
Oh,
the
yeah.
previous episode did. I mean,
Reminds us
of-
the previous episode had no connection until literally the last 30 seconds. This whole show, outside of the Luke and Grogu stuff, had a purpose of throwing this plot line pushing the plot line forward. Honestly, from
Yeah.
this moment on, everything pushes through the Boba Fett plot line. The Cad Bane and Cobb Vanth stuff does as well.
Oh,
So-
I forgot about Cad Bane. I'm like, what are you talking about, Jake? We're done with the episode. And it
That
was only
like-
a 43-minute episode.
it felt like it was an hour and a half. This felt like an
Felt
awesome.
like it was.
I don't know how they put so much great stuff
You know,
into a
it felt like
40-minute
an hour and a
episode.
half.
Yeah.
episode that
I was
went by
just
so fast
like,
because
engrossed with
Yes,
it. Like,
And it didn't feel rushed and jam packed
No.
either. It was done. Dave
No,
Filoni
but-
is
he took
after season 1 and 2 of The Mandalorian. I didn't think Dave Filoni was ready to make movies. After this episode, I'm convinced
Well,
he could make a movie.
Did he do? What did he do in season 1 of Mando? I don't think he did anything.
He
did
directed one
not?
episode. He did
was it the Ahsoka one? No.
no,
That's
he
2.
season 2 he did. In the first one he did
Oh,
Did you do
I
the last
don't-
one?
no, he did. I think it was the second to last one where he gathers
Mando,
everybody
season
together.
1.
the Mandos. All
Yeah.
the Mandos.
I know
They
he did
connect,
one
right?
of them. He did one of them.
Dude, I don't think he did any. Oh no, Dave Filoni. Yeah, let's see what
think it's the
scroll
second
quick.
Like Jake said.
Oh, he did the first episode
Which episodes?
and the 5th episode.
Yes, first and fifth.
Oh shoot, I thought he only did 0.
Which one's the fifth one?
The
that the ice one?
gunslinger.
Gunslinger with the kid. And
Oh,
Frank
Oh
Shannon.
yeah, and
That
I
one
like
Tatooine.
kind
And
it
that's
was
where
okay.
Boba
It kind of
shows up.
sucked though.
That's where Boba shows up.
That's one of my least favorite episodes.
And
I
then
like
the
it,
first
okay.
episode. So it took him 4 live action episodes to really hone in.
I feel like he's got it now.
That's not bad.
I feel like he's
That's
got it.
not bad. Him
Um,
and Bryce Dallas Howard.
Yeah,
Yep.
I want her to do her own show.
She's a rock
Hopefully,
star.
hopefully Deborah Chow. There's a lot.
Deborah Chow's doing
resting on
Obi-Wan,
Deborah
right?
Chow.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot
Um,
resting on her.
This I felt like they did pretty well with this whole scene, saying how they're preparing for the Pikes. The Pikes have been slowly bringing people in. One person said, "Why aren't the New Republic monitoring the Pike situation here?" I think the Pikes are being pretty sneaky about it because notice, how did the Pikes arrive on planet?
Like on a big
Some
ship.
transport.
Public transportation. So they
Yeah.
aren't flying their own ships in this big, huge invasion. They're slowly doing a little secret ops kind of thing. You know what I mean? Coming in a little bit at a time to stay under the radar of the New Republic. And also, if the New Republic is a new organization, Tatooine may not have joined that organization. However, I suppose seeing those 2 fighter pilots, you would imagine they had. So I think that the Pikes
Yeah.
have just kind of stayed under
The outer
the
rim.
radar.
The Pikes also were. I mean, other criminal organizations are pretty active under the regular Republic,
That's true.
and they were established and very large.
Yeah,
So
that's
I don't
true.
know
Or
how.
what 3,000 years?
Like David said, the
Yeah.
further out in the galaxy you go, like the outer rim, the harder it is for you to keep your fist around those planets. So the New
Yeah.
Republic is probably just struggling to get their politics in order in the core worlds, let alone the outer rim.
what the Pikes are doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would it make sense for Crimson Dawn to show up now?
If Crimson Dawn is
Mm.
overseeing the Pikes, which they were before, because the Pikes were part of the Crimson Dawn Syndicate.
So
And all those different crime families operated underneath the umbrella of Crimson Dawn. So if Crimson Dawn is still in charge of those and they've still conglomerated together, I think it would make sense.
then would it make sense to bring Kira in? I don't know if it makes sense to show Kira at all in the next episode.
I don't think we will. I don't think we will. I think we might see her eventually.
Yeah.
We might see the next episode, like say they defeat the Pikes. I wouldn't be surprised at all if we see the Crimson Dawn symbol or someone from Crimson Dawn say you mess with the wrong people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you think you
Yeah.
defeated the Pikes. The Pikes are a small part of our operation.
I could definitely see that. And of course, we all would know it's them, and the people who don't know would be
Yes.
like, oh,
And then
there's someone bigger than which.
now we have all
So
these
bigger
different
fish.
plot lines. We have a plot line for, Mando and Yoda and Grogu. They're doing their thing. Ahsoka's doing his thing. Cassian Andor is gonna do its thing. Obi-Wan's got his thing. Now Boba Fett has to defend itself against the Crimson Dawn, and he has to defend his empire against that. And maybe now he has to use Mandalore to do that because just Tatooine's not going to be enough. You know what I mean? So we might see another plot line divulge from that because there has to be season 2, I imagine, of the show. I can't imagine that it's just 7 episodes. So he's definitely going to need a new enemy. And I imagine they're going to tease that enemy at the end of this season.
I
I
think
don't
at
know.
this
I think
point,
this show might just run into season 3 of The Mandalorian.
You think it might just be a one and done 7 episode thing?
Not like a one and done, more like an interlude.
But you don't,
Like,
you wouldn't
instead
expect
of
a
spinning
season
off
2
into
of
its-
the Book of Boba Fett.
No, I don't think it'll spin off into its own thing. I think it's just something to connect season 2 to season 3, and Boba may return to season 3 as a side character sporadically.
I don't know that you set up a whole empire run by Boba. Essentially, is what he's trying to do is start up his own.
He's
to then
he's like in
stop that
charge of one
story.
city though.
Yeah, but I don't think he's
On
going to be content
Tatooine.
with. I don't think he'll be content with that.
So is he gonna like forcefully remove all of those crime families that he made peace with?
No, I think eventually he realizes he wants more than the city of Mos Espa. I think he's going to try to restore Mandalore. And
if Din,
I don't
doesn't-
think Din Djarin wants that responsibility.
See,
I
I think that's gonna be Bo-Katan coming back in.
She's already
It's
lost the
kinda always
respect of
been-
her people, I think.
You think Boba would have it?
I
That's
think he could gain it.
he could maybe gain it. He'd have to do a big speech about how.
I mean, his
he's
father
the
was a
rightful
foundling.
ruler.
And his father was a foundling. So he's
He's
a
so old
Mandalorian.
though.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. I wouldn't be shocked if either of those things that you mentioned happened either. So,
Yeah.
all right.
I mean,
let's get to the good stuff.
Yeah.
You mean that beautiful N1 Naboo modified? Whew.
It looks good, doesn't it?
It does. It's a nice ship.
I've come around to liking the engine on top.
It's like
Last
those-
week I didn't like it, but I love the open panels. Like before, I was like, I wish it looked sleeker. I wish it had the panels on the tail. I wish the engine was covered up. But now I just kind of like it. I feel like it fits Din Djarin really well.
It's kind
I
of cobbled together like how it actually was just
Mhm.
made like from scraps. Kind
Well, kind of like what he's done with himself as well in his armor.
Yeah.
He's made it
Piece at a time.
himself. One piece at a time. I think it really it works. I really like it.
in these couple scenes, I like seeing the crate dragon.
Oh yeah, that was
everywhere. He was
cool.
on top of the Jawa, and then if you notice in the bar scene,
In the bar, yep.
the vertebrae and rib cage.
Just notice on the back of his ship right here, the bubble. Big spoiler for me. Big spoiler.
Red flag.
As far as the final decision.
I
that we're
know.
gonna be
I
talking about.
know. So
Oh, yeah?
obvious.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You
What's
build the ship
there?
with a big bubble in the back.
There's a
Why?
co-pilot chair, and it's not normal.
Guess who's gonna
size.
sit there, CJ?
So Grogu's gonna leave Luke.
Yeah, he's gonna
Luke's
leave.
gonna sit there.
He's gonna be leaving Luke. Luke can't.
What if
fit.
Luke leaves Grogu and Grogu ends up being the teacher?
What? We don't have time for that kind of nonsense.
Done.
What's next? What is
oh my
next?
Gosh, dude.
Yeah.
I lost it. So here's the nerd I am. I get up at 6:30 for school every day, which is a nice late start. Most teachers get up earlier. But I got up at 6:30. My dog woke me up at 5:30 this morning to go outside. I was like, it's a Wednesday. May as well start up Mandalorian. So I start watching it on my phone.
Fett?
Boba Fett. Start up watching it on my phone. I got about 10 minutes in. I was like, this deserves more than a phone. So I stopped because I got to the point where Ahsoka and Din were talking. It's like, I can't do this on a phone. This is ridiculous. I'm half asleep.
I'm feeling a butt coming.
So then I go to school, and I was like, well, I got a half-hour lunch. I have 2 nice speakers I can plug into my laptop. So I watch it on lunch break. I'm in my classroom watching this by myself, tripping out watching this. I was just like, oh my gosh, like audibly yelling because I was so excited. Because from this shot, you automatically know who it is, unless you're John and you don't have.
I hate to admit that I just couldn't place. I was watching it along with the Theory stream, and he was like, "What the freak?" And I'm thinking, who is it? Who on earth is it?
How?
John.
Dude, his hat wasn't big enough.
John.
It's the exact same hat he ended Clone Wars with. The exact same hat.
Is it?
Yes, it's the exact same. It has the metal on the side.
It's not big enough. It's not big enough.
I don't know how I could spot him from 3 miles away. And I bet Cad Bane. Now, to be fair, what did I say last week? Now, I hadn't heard any leaks or anything, just people hoping things would happen. And last week I said, what I want more than anything is for Cad Bane to be hired by the Pikes and to be fighting against the good guys. And then what do we have? We have Cad Bane fighting alongside the Pikes, and we're going to get to see this next episode of him fighting against Boba Fett, Din Djarin. I mean, I hope he lays waste. If Cad Bane dies, I will be more sad than if Boba Fett dies, which is sad.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
I love Boba Fett. Before this show came out, I loved Boba Fett. But he is the quintessential villain that doesn't have force powers. You know? He outside of Darth Vader, Darth Maul, he is the best villain in Star Wars.
Thrawn?
Better. I prefer Bane.
I think Thrawn's better, but Cad Bane is a close second.
Okay, Bane. Yeah, okay, fine.
No,
he's top 5. Okay.
Top 5.
I just have always loved how he could go toe-to-toe with Jedi without having the powers of the Jedi. It makes up for such an equity gap. Okay. The guy does an amazing things that no one else can do, not with any special ability or even some insane amount of money or strategy like Thrawn. He just is so smart, so savage, so cunning, and just an amazing combatant. I love everything that he's in. And
I was sad that he did not have his rocket boots, or at least not non-visible.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe
how
they'll
well
be
that...
next episode.
I don't actually. I don't. I hope they're
budget.
not, because I didn't think even in the Clone Wars, I didn't think rocket boots made a whole lot of sense.
No,
it got him out of a lot of jams.
I know it does, but the physics of it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, no,
especially when everybody else has to have jetpacks.
Yeah, like
wicked hard to fly those. Is that what you're talking? Like flying?
Yeah, like your legs would just take off and your head would stay below your feet. You would go, you'd flip. So
he doesn't skip leg day. Okay?
Star Wars.
It just doesn't make sense to me. So I don't actually want to see rocket boots. I don't think. Maybe for like a boost or a jump kind of thing, but not like sustained flight. Oh, that nose.
His hat. Okay, his hat needs to be bigger. I know it was the same one, but I just looked it up. His hat needs to be like as wide as his shoulders.
The season 1 hat, yes, but
no.
When we first see him,
looked it up, dude.
Look at Cad Bane in the box.
I guess the only thing that you can have,
or not the box episode,
that one. Look at.
Yes,
it's
the one with
close.
Rico Hardin.
Well, no, this is the season 7 of Clone Wars, or no, Bad Batch.
That's Bad Batch.
Yeah,
I think it looks right.
Yeah, I think it's close enough. Like maybe it's just a little bit.
It's
bigger.
definitely not as bad as Ahsoka's tendrils.
Then I'll say this.
Or not tendrils.
He should have had a bigger hat in Bad Batch.
Okay, fine.
Because that's his
Fair
thing.
enough.
Like he can hide his whole face with his hat.
Dude, the way they had him come on screen was one of the most legendary entrances in Star Wars. I mean, it rivals Darth Vader on Rogue One.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
as you mentioned, he's the titular character of this episode.
Yeah, and just
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why he feels the need to park his ship so far away and walk a quarter mile to the village. But the effect of
Great
him-
dragons, probably.
perhaps, but just the effect of him walking across that desert, just knowing he commanded the attention and the authority, and that everyone says this is not good. I love how the wind shifts and he slowly takes his time. Man of few words, hat down. We can't see his face. He talks for a long time without ever seeing his face. I could not contain my excitement with this scene. This is the best part of the episode to be. And out of all of the amazing things that happened, this was the best moment.
It's nice when you see a cartoon character brought to life.
Yeah.
So
Now, that is one thing that was odd about this.
Yeah.
John and I were talking about it before.
What do you
the
guys
show.
think about? Does he look okay?
I like it.
I think his face is kind of weird.
It's
It's
kind
a
of
little
round
too
and
soft.
smushed, isn't it?
It's a little too
Yeah.
soft.
So
I
like
don't know. I thought his teeth were kind of weird too, but
with
that
the
might have
blue,
just
the
been me.
dark blue lips kind of thing.
I don't know. It was just like the shape. I don't remember. Maybe I just don't remember it
let's
well
do
enough.
some-
But I think they look kind of.
Does he have
Animalistic.
spiky teeth?
I don't know. They just don't look similar.
The voice was
enough.
great.
It was
Yeah,
it was pretty good. I just wanted he had a little bit more of that
Southern
tech.
twang. Yeah.
No, not the tech buzz like Darth Vader, the modulation.
You wanted more of that, or he had
Just
too
a
much?
pinch more modulation is what I would have preferred because like he does
the
have that
two.
electronic modulation to his voice.
A little
in
bit.
the but
I would have liked
but
a
I
little
mean,
more draw, a little more Southern draw,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because it's very
I
strong
can-
in the Clone Wars.
Yeah, it is. He like really like enunciates like that like all the
Well,
time.
Like one of the my favorite lines he has is when he first meets Ahsoka. He's like, "You little hasty little lady," something like that, or "Don't be hasty,
Mhm.
little lady." Like one of the greatest lines, and it's like freaking John Wayne. One of my favorite lines in Star Wars. But I felt like it was done insanely well. One thing John and I were talking about before we started is we've seen a lot of Clone Wars characters and we never really thought much of it. But like, think about Anakin, Obi-Wan, Mace Windu, Count Dooku. Their faces, when you put them into Clone Wars, they don't really look a whole lot like the live action.
Not at all
You know what I
like them.
mean?
Not
And
at all.
but we don't think twice about it because we as people, as viewers, we're used to seeing live action people put into cartoons. It happens all the time. So you just take it up as artistic decisions or the art style, yada, yada, yada. It's not often that we see someone from an animated show or a cartoon be taken out into live action, especially someone that's not human. You know what I mean? So having
Yeah.
to see someone go from a cartoon where you can animate it however you want to say, all right, now we're going to take that out and have a human play this person and have makeup, special effects, and a mask go over it. It's going to look a little different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's certain features that an alien of what's his race called? I forget.
Duros.
Duros.
He's a
Thank you.
Duros.
Or
Duros.
Yeah,
Yep.
okay.
Certain features of a Duros face that we see in Clone Wars and that we've seen in animation and comics and everything before in masks that you just can't do on a human face. And this is a
Mhm.
human face. I believe that all that stuff around his nose is a blue
Yeah.
prosthetic.
No, it's
a
definitely a prosthetic, and like he had very good accentuation of his lips and mouth.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I could see them putting electronics in his face to
Cheekbones.
make his
Mhm.
I
I mean, I wouldn't
the
be surprised
twins.
if that's CG over his face either.
I think it was all
A
man,
mask.
I think it was all a mask, and they put electronics in his eyelids to be able to control his eyelids.
Sure. I'd be very interested to see how they did that.
And then his lips are real. That dude's got to have some sort of breathing apparatus in there to not,
Or just breathing through
or
his
just breathe
mouth.
through his mouth. Yeah.
But
My only reservation is we have seen Duros in A New Hope in the cantina.
Mhm.
So, and of course, those were just masks from 1977. So it's a little bit
Mhm.
different when you're trying to have a main character talk and interact and not look like a CG character. So,
In the light.
yeah, there's some give and take for sure, and you gotta make it work. And at this point, do you just stick with this, or if you can make it better, do you make it better?
Mhm.
A little bit over time, probably.
Yeah,
For instance,
Dave or John made a pretty good little edit here. Tell me what
do
you
you
guys
do
think.
that? What do you guys think of that?
Wait, do it again.
His I
Okay,
just
so
move
he
it down.
he made it a little bit too small.
I did make it a little too small, but I mean, you
I
just
think-
move it down.
Yeah,
It's an
I
elongated
could see that
face.
more.
Yeah.
I think that looks more like what we're used to in the Clone Wars. Thing is a human chin, you can't say, "Hey, I need your mouth to be lower on your chin, please."
Yeah.
But I do think that it looks better with a little bit longer accentuated. So
Because it makes his nose, it makes his face taller. His whole face becomes taller
mhm.
just by moving his mouth down.
Yeah.
And then his nose.
I mean, I don't know if that's
nose-
quite perfect how we would want it, but I do think that
Mhm.
idea is what we're missing. And that's why it looks a little bit
Yeah.
different. So,
He looks a little too humanoid
yeah.
here instead of.
Oh,
Alien.
was that not a great scene though? I mean, I was like
Oh.
legitimately scared the whole time. Like you knew that no one stood a chance.
Oh, yeah, no way.
He's the most deadly bounty hunter in the galaxy.
Yeah. I was wondering if they were gonna have the actual like shoot off, or if Cobb was gonna try and
Back down.
calm everybody down.
Yeah.
I think
but-
Cobb did not want to fight.
No, he did not.
His
he
It was
thinking
that idiot
deputy was and he got lit up.
I was fine. As soon as I saw that guy, I was like, this dude's dying. He is cannon
Red
fodder.
shirt. my
Yeah,
favorite.
he was a red shirt, 100%. But I was fine with that. I mean, in the way he died too. I mean, Cad Bane showed no mercy. Just
He
slayed
killed
it.
Cobb
Yeah. Put like
before he
4
killed
shots
him.
into him.
Yeah,
Dude's
He's-
so slow.
the guy he drew first, and he shot Cobb first. I don't think Cobb is dead.
No,
No.
No, he got hit in the. If you watch the shot, he gets hit in like the shoulder first off,
like up
Okay.
either
upper chest.
here. Yep.
Yep.
Like up there. Because when he's laying on the ground, it's on his right side and they're
Yep.
patching him up. I think
And-
depending on which way he's facing. But
And why would you try to patch up a dead person?
yeah.
I don't know. You think
So.
that you could save him? Maybe. I don't know.
I
Well,
don't
why
think
would
he's
you
dead.
There's
Yeah.
a good chance. I could see it either way, but y'all are probably right.
But
I mean,
either
if
way,
anything, the laser cauterizes the wound, so why are you patching him up anyways?
well, I mean, Rex got patched up when he got sniped.
Got a big hole in his you don't want
Yeah.
further infection.
There's still damage. And
So-
I don't think those patches are stopping bleeding. I think they start healing processes.
That's fair. That's very fair. I wanted to bring this up since episode 5 of Mandalorian season 2, and I'm going to bring it up now. I do not like how they've been handling blaster bolts in the live action.
Yeah, why is that?
Example,
Super bright.
no. So when he shoots the deputy, as soon as it hits his body, it sparks. Their default with blasters seem to be sparking. In Mandalorian season 2 with Ahsoka, every time she would block blaster fire, it would never deflect. It would always spark. And that's in Clone Wars, and in all Star Wars, whenever a blaster fire hit a lightsaber, it would deflect. So I don't know why all of a sudden they're having blaster fire hitting lightsabers sparking and just disintegrating.
Yeah.
Have you guys noticed that? Am I just being crazy alone in this, or
I don't know.
mean,
I haven't
seen-
noticed it.
I'm watching the scene right now.
with Ahsoka?
No, with Cad Bane shooting Cobb Vanth. Let's see if I can.
So it doesn't spark. It happens too fast and doesn't spark on Cobb, but it does on the deputy. But my much bigger complaint is with blaster fire hitting lightsabers. It just seemed too cheap.
Yeah.
It kind of sucks that Cobb Vanth actually had his gun drawn first. There,
It's
Like,
just
he
how
didn't-
fast
he didn't
Cad Bane is.
aim
dude.
it at Cad Bane. No, he like had it out and he just stops.
Yeah, I
I'm
mean, even
watching it-
here, he's pulling off to the. He's off
yeah.
to the right.
I'm watching frame by frame. It's like, why didn't you fire? Maybe just the reflexes were too slow.
Maybe we can revisit this later when we have more.
Oh yeah, the sparks are bad.
and
oh,
the
he-
same
he-
thing.
He hit him in the gun.
Is that why?
Yeah, I'm looking at the frame right now. And he hits him in the gun, and the gun is exploding. Cad Bane's first shot is right in the gun.
So that explains that instance, but unfortunately, Ahsoka, her lightsaber, maybe it's her lightsaber type. I don't know. It doesn't deflect.
Doesn't matter. Every shot after that sparks too.
Okay. I mean, I understand objectively why you don't want to on TV or whatever do it for the kids. Don't have
like
holes showing up in his body.
burning.
But I don't know. It's something I noticed in Mandalorian season 2, and it just fell off. Like those little things. Blaster bolts should be deflected, not sparked away.
Mm-hmm.
But
I agree. The energy is being transferred. That's the whole point of it.
Yeah.
So I shouldn't really deflect and lose that potential energy. Okay, let's move on.
Oh,
Cad Bane.
man,
I
Cad
cannot wait
Bane.
to see him in the next episode, man. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
This scene, it doesn't really warrant a lot to me, except here's the last 2 scenes have done. And we'll just touch on this quickly. The last 2 scenes have rallied people to Boba Fett's cause. That town is going to join the cause now. And now the people of Mos Espa are going to rise up against the Pikes. So the Pikes have pissed off not only Mos Pelgo, but now also Mos Espa. So he should have his foot soldiers now. And that's really the only thing I think we really need to talk about with this scene.
Pretty
Max
much.
Rebo was not seen in the
Correct.
cantina, so he should hopefully be alive still.
However, I think a bigger loss is the Twi'lek bar owner. Rest in peace.
She was pretty okay.
Beautiful
Agreed.
lady.
But yeah, I think that's really all I would need to mention about this. And
And
I just wonder why. Why did the Pikes feel the need to do this? Is because that they felt that
about sending a message.
did they feel that she was a supporter of Boba?
Probably. I mean, he was always in there.
Maybe.
Yeah, she paid tribute to him. Like,
Water dude scot-free because he shot.
they're not
mouth at-
friends.
He shot lip at Boba.
Yeah.
I thought.
Well,
So I
then
thought.
half of Boba's crew is good then.
Oh my goodness. I thought this was going to be the end of the show. I thought explosion. What's gonna happen next? End of the episode.
Nah, there are bigger
But-
things in store.
We go back to Luke, and it cuts to the outside of the
Completed
little
first
igloo
building.
thing.
Yeah.
Structure, and Luke's sitting here with Grogu, and he shows. We'll see the chainmail in the next screenshot. But Yoda's lightsaber, like I did not expect that at all.
Well,
Well, as soon as he
Yoda
pulled
lost
the
his
box,
lightsaber,
but-
so I don't know where.
What's that?
Like, Yoda lost his lightsaber and he went straight.
That's been
from-
retconned, dude. It's been
It has.
nixed. So there was a comic book that had Masameda, the blue guy who
Yep.
worked for Palpatine,
Yep.
him and a bunch of other people take all the Jedi lightsabers found in the Jedi Temple and burn them. And that was a Disney comic book, so it was
Mhm.
canon. But this apparently they're just saying nope. Somehow
And
either Yoda
Yoda's was the last lightsaber that he held up and
Yep.
threw into the.
and Palpatine's seen smiling. So like apparently they're just saying, we care most about what's on screen, and that's what we're going to prioritize. And I'm 100% in favor of that. So Yoda must have somehow gotten it, or some Jedi found it in the temple, or Yoda never lost it in the first place. I don't know, but somehow it's returned.
Weird. It's like you don't
Infamous
even
last
see him
words.
pick it up when he falls.
Yeah, but I mean, we don't see every single thing people do. Anything could have happened.
I don't know. But
So there could be any number of ways that he has it. I imagine Yoda just had it with him the whole time.
I bet he got it
Mm.
from some Jawas.
You know what?
Like-
You know who probably found it? Maz Kanata. She found freaking Anakin's in Bespin. So she probably
Found
was digging
anything.
around Coruscant. So
Grogu's face, seeing his reaction to the lightsaber was
it's pretty
kinda
cool.
crazy.
And the chainmail. I thought that was
Yeah.
the whole process was just a really good scene. And it really symbolizes the choice of becoming a Jedi. I mean, Anakin had to say, am I going to leave my mother
Yeah.
or
I'm
become the
going
life
to find
of
my
life of a
mother.
Jedi? And it's a decision all Jedi have to make. So one thing that kind of bummed me out about this, Legends Luke kind of bent the rules a little bit because he felt that the Jedi were dogmatic, and it kind of led to the fall of the Jedi. And the reason so many Jedi turned is because of the dogmatic, rigid structure. If Anakin was allowed to stay with Padme and not have to keep everything a secret from the Jedi could have helped him through the process. So I'm surprised that Luke has decided to be so dogmatic with this rule. However, I think that there's a reason for it outside of
Mhm.
just rules alone. I think he's seeing that Grogu is not really fully committed to this right now. And he sees a turmoil between Grogu saying, do I fully commit to becoming a Jedi, or am I still holding on to my previous life? With Din Djarin. So I understand the process. It just is a decision that I don't want him to have to make because I want both so bad.
Yeah, but why can't we have a Mando Jedi?
I think eventually we will. But it's going to take
Well,
Luke some time to be okay with.
Yeah.
And I think people are immediately jumping to the conclusion that Luke is rigid, yada yada. We've seen in episode 6, he's not. His
Right.
attachments to his friends in episode 6 is what saved them. His
But
attachment
does
to
he
his
feel
father.
a new responsibility though when he's training others?
Maybe. I just think he doesn't know how to, because he knew that's how what worked for him.
Right.
I don't think he knows, and he even admitted to Ahsoka he wanted her to stay so he could make sure he was teaching Grogu the right things. I think he doesn't know how to teach fully just yet. So
Yeah.
he's
learning
more so letting Grogu teach him, and depending on whatever Grogu decides, I think it's not so much a this or that as it's Grogu, where's your head? Like, what do you want? I'm not going to force you to this life. You choose. If that's what you want right now, go. I know you have this power. I'm always here if you want to come back and then kind of maybe recommit or reconsider.
Yeah. Well, in the Jedi
We
play
can do
mind
that.
games, this could 100% be a test.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He could 100% see Grogu take the lightsaber and say, all right, I know you mean business. Throw on this chainmail. We're going to make this work.
Yeah.
You can be a part of both.
Mm.
I would not be shocked to see that. However, we know, I mean, I don't see any way that Grogu and Luke don't end up on Tatooine in the next episode. I feel like that's a given. It has to happen. So this does not end with him saying, yeah, I'm going to take the lightsaber, and then the chainmail just goes away. So I feel like we're going to see a return to Tatooine for Luke Skywalker. And I believe Grogu is going to be reunited with Mando. So I wouldn't be shocked if he takes the chainmail and Luke takes him back there. And even at some point, Grogu changes his mind or something, or Grogu sees how Luke is able to protect people and says, this is actually what I need to do.
And that's where he teaches the lesson to protect others.
Yeah. So I would not be shocked at all to see that happen, or even Din Djarin convince him that that's what's best for him, something like that. But it would seem like we're kind of traveling backward a little bit because they have already had that conversation at the end of season 2. So I won't be shocked really by whatever happens, I think, because I think there's so many things that could happen. But that's just what I would predict, I imagine.
Man, how long do you think next episode's going to be?
Probably about 50.
The same.
About 50 is my guess. Maybe 55 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, the finale of season 2 of Mando wasn't very long. I think it was 42 or 43 minutes.
Here's the real question. Do you think Boba Fett is going to be in the next episode?
No.
Maybe
if
not.
Boba
Maybe
Fett
it's
does
for the
not
best.
finally do something cool, that's the thing. Now we're going to have all these characters fighting this big war this next episode. It should be an awesome finale, but Boba's just going to be one of many, Like, I'm sure we'll see him do some awesome stuff. We'll probably see the Slave One doing some great things. We'll see him flying around in his jetpack. Him and Dan will probably have a really cool scene on their jetpacks, I imagine. Fighting Cad Bane, more than likely. Black Chrysanthemum might be fighting Bosk. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see something like that happen because he hates Trandoshans. So I imagine we'll see some cool stuff because they're not going to have all these enforcers on one side and then just Cad Bane and the Pikes on the other. You know what I mean? There are going to be heroes on both sides. So I imagine that we're going to see some more than just Cad Bane next episode. And honestly, if Luke comes in, do we see someone fight against Luke perhaps?
Oh, man. I mean, Cad, Cad Bane gets a
Cad Bane can hold his own against a Jedi. But what about another Force user?
He has a thing for taking out Jedis.
Oh, he loves it. It's his fetish.
Yes.
But what if we saw a dark side Force user? Maybe like a Darth Talon kind of thing.
No.
You don't think so?
No way. It would not make any sense to bring in a dark Force user at this point.
Well, if for any reason we did see Kira, it would be to fight Luke because we know she is trained by Darth Maul.
She could hold her own against Luke
for a little bit. She held her own
Once he
against Darth
starts pulling
Vader
out,
for a little
once
bit.
he starts pulling out the Force, then it's over.
Do you guys know that in canon
Hmm.
comics, she fights Darth Vader and until Vader again pulls out the Force.
Yeah.
In their hand-to-hand combat, though, she did okay.
Wow.
And he's like, all right, we're done with this.
Which Luke, I don't know if Luke has that much training in. She's probably more trained than Luke.
In hand-to-hand. Yeah.
Yeah. He just has, a lightsaber.
All right. So before we log off here, you have any screenshots, final screenshots, or is that your last one?
I just had the one more of in the
Oh,
the
yeah. It looks like
concept
they
art
had
that-
concept art. They used Luke's lightsaber.
Yeah, instead of Yoda's, but I could have just been a stand-in, or
I don't know what meaning there could be there, if any.
because that lightsaber is
That's Luke Skywalker's,
gone, and it's
but it looks shorter though.
it's because it's leaning forward at an angle.
Maybe. But yeah, it's definitely not Yoda's. So
somewhere
I don't know.
it's somewhere in Bespin right now.
That was pretty cool to see Yoda's lightsaber.
Yeah.
Man.
Mhm.
All right, so round and table real quick. What do you want to see in this finale? 30 seconds or less. What do you expect to see?
I'll go first. I want to see Luke come back to Tatooine and fight. I want to see him fight someone and do some real sick moves. We saw some sick moves in season 2 finale, but now that we don't have to worry so much about the face, we can see some real sick Jedi fighting, and that's what I want to see.
Okay.
I want to see some real lightsaber combat.
What do you expect?
I just expect a battle. I think it's going to pretty much be mostly battle the whole time. I hope there shouldn't be that much talking, honestly.
Any
don't need
kind
any more
of
setup.
any kind of grand ending that's going to point towards something in the future that you think was going to happen?
I think the only thing that would point to the future really is if Boba gets more land coverage with his army or with his empire, and then whatever happens with Luke and Grogu and Mando. I think that'll be the big thing that'll really kick off.
David?
Yeah, I just want Boba Fett to be more involved. I think they're gonna do something, and maybe a vision the same way that Luke got brought to his friends. Grogu goes to find Mando or something. But yeah, I feel like basically everyone's gonna get assembled to fight the big battle.
The Avengers.
Yep.
Carl?
I think that
Carl's been right, so we got to listen here.
Carl knows how to predict these things, apparently.
maybe 50% of the time, I'm being generous. No, they're obviously it's a battle. I think Cobb Vanth and those villagers are going to come in towards the end as like reinforcements so that Boba's team, with all of their star power, doesn't overwhelm the Pikes.
Their mod power.
They're probably going to they'll be overwhelmed, and then the foot soldiers, the townspeople
They'll
of
come.
Tatooine rally around. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'll culminate with a Boba Fett Cad Bane face off.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll be Din, but it should be Boba. Hopefully,
It
it's not
should be
Din.
Boba. That's a good call.
Yeah.
I
Boba
don't
and
think
Cad
that
Bane need
Luke
to fight.
and Grogu are going to be on Tatooine, though.
You don't think so? So you think Grogu's going to decide to stay?
I think it's going to be, if he does, I think he will, but if he weren't, that decision would happen towards the end. I think the battle is going to be non-force user.
So you think
like,
they'll tell a story
completely.
two separate ways again? Like a story with
Yes.
Grogu. So let's all make a prediction. Does he pick the lightsaber or the mail? I think he picks the chainmail.
Chainmail.
Mm.
I think lightsaber.
He didn't see Mando. If he would have seen Mando,
He
definitely
saw his ship.
chainmail.
He
He
reached
did
his
see-
hand out toward him.
So he probably
He
knew
knew.
it was Mando.
Mhm.
Man,
Doe.
I don't know. I don't know if I could decide. It's too much
Gotta
pressure.
choose. You must choose.
Lightsaber.
Okay.
Mm,
All right. Me
two,
and John
two.
say.
Both.
Me and David say
Chainmail.
Mando, and you guys say lightsaber. We'll check our picks later. All right, guys.
Well.
This has been the Rogue Podcast Star Wars Show. Probably one of my favorite episodes we've ever recorded. I can't go on enough about how awesome this episode was. I mean, you
10
compare
out
it
of,
to
100 out of 10.
it's no scale is worthy. You compare it to other Star Wars that we've seen by Disney, and I think this is the best Disney Star Wars we've seen. Rogue One was great. I cannot emphasize enough. The Rogue One was a great movie, and I loved it. So I mean, the whole cinematic experience maybe was a little added to it.
Yeah.
And then also the final 4 episodes of the Clone Wars, the Ahsoka arc with the Siege of Mandalore. I would put that near parallel with this. But just something about live action just resonates a little bit more.
A little more special.
So I loved this. If you are a Star Wars fan, you can't help but love it. And I think that would be the same for normies out there, that just people who like watching Star Wars but aren't the super fans like we are. I think this was just an absolutely great episode. What I'm most excited about is what this means for the future of Star Wars. I think as long as Dave Filoni is engaged and directing these things and just overseeing what is the direction of Star Wars, I can't wait to see what happens. So get Kathleen Kennedy out of there. Dave Filoni, come on in. You're in charge now. I just am so excited for the future. As always, may the force be with you, and we'll catch you guys next week after the finale.